This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and yay, it's SmackDown time. Two phablets, well, almost phablet. Nobody calls the LG G3 a phablet, but it kind of sort of is. 5.5-inch display. Samsung Galaxy Note 3 here, the incumbent 5.7-inch display. Both running Android, both have myriad features. We're going to compare them now. So here we are, living large and living a little larger. Neither of these is small phones. If you think the iPhone 5S is just the most awesome size in the world, this is not the comparison for you to watch. But if you don't mind big phones, well, one thing I'll say about the LG G3 is it's not wildly bigger than the Samsung Galaxy S5, which is a 5.1-inch phone, and it is a little bit smaller, as we see side by side right there, than the Galaxy Note 3, which is a 5.7-inch smartphone, one of the bigger ones on the market. Of course, there is the Samsung Galaxy Mega, if you want to live even bigger, but these guys are pushing the envelope for phones that most of us would carry around every day in terms of size. Before we get into all the similarities, and believe me, there are a whole lot of them, notice one thing that's different right away. See that little thing right down there? That is the pen on the Note. That's why it's called the Note. Digital pen uses Wacom technology here. So you can do artwork on here. You can take notes. It's precise. It's digital. Pinpoint, not like a capacitive fat stylus on here. Palm rejection, that means you can rest your hand on the glass. So if that really floats your boat, then it's the Note 3 for you, because that's unique to the Note 3 between these two guys in terms of features. Now, what's the same on these? A whole lot of things are the same. 13 megapixel cameras that can shoot 4K video, both running Android. A nominally Android KitKat 4.4. Our Note 3 on AT&T here is still running on 4.3. It's been a while since AT&T let loose on that update. Don't know why that is, but in theory, if you bought one now, you should get it with 4.4 in here. Same thing is installed on here. Both of these have customized UI. LG and Samsung actually do fairly similar things. They have the split window, multi-window multitasking functionality. They use the front camera to keep an eye on you, not like the Amazon Fire phone doing really spooky things, but just keeping an eye on you so they know that the screen should be on. Say if you're looking at the device, you don't like to have it to turn off when you're staring at it. Both of these run on Snapdragon quad-core CPUs. The Snapdragon 800 2.3 gigahertz is what is in our Samsung. 2.5 gigahertz Snapdragon 801 in the LG G3. There is not a huge difference between the 800 and the 801. Really, it's just a little bit faster video clock RAM, stuff like that. So they're pretty similar in terms of their scores on Quadrant. In terms of what they can do, it's not the most important thing. This LG G3 is the model that has 32 gigs of internal storage and 3 gigs of RAM. We have 3 gigs of RAM in our Galaxy Note 3. There'll be various configurations available for the LG G3. It depends on your carrier. There'll also be a 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gig model, so can't really compare those because there's multiple options available. Both have 2 megapixel front cameras, also similar. And they have removable backs with batteries inside that you can swap out, which is a real treat these days as smartphones tend to go unibody and all sealed inside. Both of these also have very high capacity batteries. 3,000 milliamps inside of our LG G3, 3,200 inside of the Note. Now here's where they start to diverge. If you look at this at first, it's very reminiscent of the HTC One M8 kind of design. It looks like unibody metal. It's plastic, but they did a very good job of making it not look so much like plastic. So it's kind of classy, it's kind of nice looking. And the Samsung, of course, they embrace their plastics. It's faux leather here with the fake stitching. We know about this. You probably watched the video review of this at some point. It's available in black or in white. It says, "I'm plastic. Hi, how are you?" Sides here are faux chrome. Kind of straight on the side. There's a taper on the LG. You know what that means? It means the LG feels nicer in the hand because it fits the curve of your hand. It also means it's easier to let it slide out and drop. Whoops. So the Samsung's straight edges are actually good for holding a grip. Now it is a bigger handful of a phone. And as we superimpose them, yet again, you can see the difference, not just in height, but there's a little difference in width as well. So something to keep in mind, if your hand size is just medium and you're already pushing it, probably the LG G3, given the curves, is going to feel nicer in your hand. This really requires a big mitt to hold on to. And here we can see what they look like with the back covers off and our removable batteries. And both of these use a stacked slot, micro SIM on the bottom and micro SD card slot up top, both compatible with high capacity cards, so you can store stuff on cards. You don't have to put everything on internal memory. Great place to put your videos, for example, and your photos that you shoot with the camera and your videos that you shoot with the camera. One thing that is different here is, notice the buttons on the back. LG loves doing that, and right here we have, you can see it even with the back off, the buttons are on the back for your volume and for your power. Now, that's kind of up to you as to how you feel about that. I have never quite gotten used to it. I know some people can. They're tactile and all that sort of thing, but I always seem to hit the wrong thing. Samsung Galaxy has normal buttons on the side, well, like every other phone on the block. So, got our volume controls right there. On the opposite side, we have our power button. So, again, that's up to you as to how you feel about that, how important that is to you. LG does fight back with a neat knock-on feature, something I really love, and now they even have knock-on with passcodes if you want to do that. So tap on it, you wake it up, swipe to unlock. So you actually don't have to use that power button very often. Okay, so let's get back to differences. The display. We have full HD display on the Galaxy Note 3, 1920 by 1080. Here we have a quad HD display, 2560 by 1440, so higher pixel density. Now let's get a little real here. Honestly, they're both extremely high pixel density phones. I don't think that any of us with normal eyes can really see pixels on either of these displays. They're both very nice, very sharp looking displays. I don't consider that a killer detail. I know it's real important for LG's marketing, and a lot of you are really excited by it, and hey, that's cool. But side by side, I don't think anybody's going to say, wow, one looks a lot sharper than the other. Where the difference is Super AMOLED. We're color saturated, deeper blacks, not quite as whites though. But it makes, particularly movies where the blacks seem to maintain more detail, look pretty good. This is an IPS display. IPS, everybody knows it and loves it. As IPS displays go, the viewing angle is not the best I've seen. It's not hideous though. And we'll tilt this one so you can see. You see it maintains a little bit more viewability there. So that's something to keep in mind. Now where the LG pulls ahead, even though it's not one of the brightest IPS displays on the market by any means among smartphones, is it's more viewable outdoors. The Samsung Note 3, even on auto bright, which is where it can actually achieve its maximum brightness, if you have auto brightness turned on and you set the brightness to high, it's still kind of hard to see outdoors in bright sunlight. The LG is not super fantastical. It's not going to compete with the Samsung Galaxy S5 or the iPhone 5S for outdoor viewability, but it is more usable. So if you use your phone a lot outdoors, the LG might pull ahead for you. In terms of responsiveness and speed, you're looking at similar hardware in here, so it does everything pretty much the same. So we've got slightly customized UIs here. And because Samsung and LG are doing so much of the same things in terms of UI, it's funny, their customizations actually look a whole lot the same too. Now, even though we're not on the latest generation here of Android, we still have the 4.3, but the UI really hasn't changed much for Samsung's TouchWiz overlay. And here we have LG's UI. We're going to settings, for example, so you can see the same 4-tab way of doing things. They also have customizations of the home screen. Like I said, they both have the split window view so you can multitask with selected applications. So it's funny how you're getting an awful similar experience despite two different companies with two different sets of software customizations. It's not the night and day difference between something like the HTC One M8 or a Nexus phone where you have a very clean UI versus the customized UIs here. So again, it's up to you in terms of preference, but largely it's the same stuff you're getting here. Of course, there's apps that each manufacturer adds on. One thing they do both have is the TV remote control going on, and also picture-in-a-picture. You could use the front and back cameras simultaneously when you're recording video. Speaking of video, let's take a look at the camera interfaces. So here we are looking at the LG's camera user interface, and it's pretty simple and uncluttered at first. One of the things that sets this camera apart is it's using laser autofocus, something that they got from the robotic vacuum cleaner division that's supposed to speed up autofocus times, and in fact it does. Both of these cameras are pretty quick to shoot a shot in bright outdoor lighting or even good indoor lighting, but you'll notice the difference if you're taking indoor shots. We've got our front to back camera control here. We have modes, panorama, dual camera, and then a bunch of settings over here, and shot times are reliably very quick on this. And image quality is pretty much the same too. Now, when it comes to video recording quality, I'll give a slight edge to Samsung, even at the 4K level, for doing better color fidelity with a bit less blockiness and noise. Now let's take a look at the Samsung for a minute. And now we have the Note 3 up here, and you can see that most of your controls are up in that corner there, switching between cameras, using both cameras. And let's take a look at settings. Access to a variety of settings is over there, and our mode button gives us a kind of visual. I like this, actually, idea of what all the modes do, and there's a whole lot of them. I like Samsung's camera UI a little bit better. I think it's more intuitive, a little bit more fun to use, but other than that, and let's just take a picture. We're going to do our tap to focus. And again, in good light, the focus times are going to be not so far off. It's really just in low light. So camera, it's a real close race here. So how about battery life and other features? Both of these phones, well, in the case of the LG, will have, I can't say does have because it's not available yet on the US market, but will have 4G LTE. Both have dual band Wi-Fi, 802.11 AC, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, a GPS with GLONASS inside. So you're looking at the same feature set, and most of those things come with the Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset built inside. Battery life, similar battery capacities. Now both of these are two of the longest running phones on the market right now, so both have excellent battery life. Too close to really call a winner on this one. The LG might have just say 20 minutes longer actual use time, but when you're talking about hours upon hours, that's not really so significant. Voice quality we can't really talk about yet because this is a review unit that LG has supplied that is for the Korean market. We can make calls on it. We even have 4G LTE on AT&T, but it's not an example of the finished product actually made for a US carrier. Now LG is pretty proud of their 1-watt speaker on the back here, and in fact it is a little bit louder than the Note 3. It's funny how the Note, being the big guy in town, you think would have a really big speaker, has always been sort of on the timid side when it comes to volume. So if you like a really loud built-in speaker, the LG does have an advantage there. In terms of their ability to play games, play video, up to 4K resolution video, it's obviously going to be on equal footing there, so you're looking at the same thing in terms of horsepower. So what does it come down to in the end? Do you have a brand preference? Well, obviously, if you have a brand preference, that's going to decide it for you. The size difference, the fact that the Note is a little bigger, a little bit harder to hold, does that make a difference? Do you like the curves on the LG? And real important is the pen option on the Note 3. For those of you who think that you're going to use it, well, that's a pretty nifty and unique feature for the Note series. Beyond that, you're getting two of the higher end and larger Android smartphones on the market with nearly identical feature sets. And for those of you who are the cutting edge, we love our specs types, the fact that this has such a super duper high resolution display, the LG G3 certainly puts it ahead, and has a slightly newer generation of the Snapdragon CPU and chipset inside. So it's the new kid on the block. The Samsung Galaxy Note 3 has been out for a while, so, well, there's that. The LG G3 has that slightly more cutting edge new guy on the block feel. So that's the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 versus the LG G3. The LG G3, as of this filming, is not available yet. It should be available soon, like I said, on every major carrier, and they're both fabulous phablets, aren't they? They both have really similar features. They're both very good phones. So here it is. You're going to be frustrated, I know, but you know, there's no clear winner here. It depends on what you need, and hopefully the things we've covered have helped you figure out. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full review of each of these phones, watch our video reviews, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.